All Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to do if statements. So let's get to it. You're going to need to create a script. Create C# script on your script folder. I'm going to call it test if. And you're going to have to drag it onto a game object to make it run in the game. So we'll just put it on the main camera. Alright, click the script to open it up to code. Alright, let's make two variables integers. That is number 1 and number 2. They're called num1 and num2. So try to do that for a second. Okay, so to declare a integer that has a value, you would do int num1. It has a default value of 0, and int num2 has a default value of 0. Or you could have done equals 1, and it would give num2 a value of 1. So we'll do that. Alright, if statements. Right, in their start function, set num1 No. Let's make both of these 0. Alright, so when the game starts at 0 by default. But in the start function, let's put num1 equals 1. So when you press start, the play button in Unity, num1 is going to equal 1. Alright. Now in the update function, to do an if statement, you would just do if, and then you'd pick your variable that you want it. Since we only have 2 of them, you have to pick num1 or num2. And we're going to pick num2. Now to set it equal to something, you have to use a double equal sign in if statements. You cannot do that. You got to do 2 of them. So if num2 equals, we'll say 5, then num1 equals 0. So after you finish your little statement with the if number 2 equals 5, you have to follow it with the open and close bracket, and then the stuff inside the bracket will be created only if this is true. So if num2 equals 5, then num1 will equal 0. But you'll see that you put num1 as equal to 1. So this isn't going to run at all. Nothing's going to happen until you change the value of num2 to equal 5. Num2 is 0. So to do that, we're going to make these variables public. And this allows you to tweak them inside Unity without having to code. So save it. Go to your game object that you put the script on. And you'll notice that you have num1 and num2 variables, and you're able to mess with them. That's because you made them public. If you made them private, they would not be here. Alright, so let's just push play and see what happens. Alright, num1 equals 1, and num2 equals 0. Alright, so at the start when you push play, num1 equals 1. So that's true, it happened, it's correct. But num2 doesn't have a value yet, it's still 0. So if we make num2 a 5, then this 1 is going to turn to a 0. So if we give it a 5, num1 changed to a 0. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So if you gave num1 just a random number, and you typed 5 again, it changed num1 back to 0. Alright, let's get a little bit more complex with it. There's this thing called if-else statements or else-if statements, and it's a continuation of this. So all you do is do else if if num2 equals 6, and remember you have to do your open and close brackets to finish it. And then when this is true, it will do something. And this time we're going to do a debug, so it prints it out into the console. And then you do your quotations. The number is space, quotation, addition sign, num1 So if num2 equals 6, it's going to print out a message that says that the number is whatever num1 is. So let's try that. Oh, before I do that, else if is secondary. It's going to run this one first, and then it's going to run this one underneath it. So if this is true, it will run this, and then it will go to this, then run this. If this is not true, it's going to skip this and go to this to see if this one's true. It's like a staircase. This one's first, this one's second, this one's third, this one's fourth, etc. Alright, save it. Let's run it. You'll see that num1 is 1. If we type a 5, num1 is 0. And then if we type our 6 with our else if statement or if else statement, it printed out the number is 0, and you can see that num1 is 0. It's pretty cool. I got one more thing to add to this. There's a thing called an else. and it's just the leftovers, the remainder. So, 1 second, let me turn my phone off. Alright, so the remainder. So we'll do if, actually you just do else num2 equals 100. I don't know why you does this. I prefer mine to like this. Alright, so what this is going to do is going to check this one first. If num2 equals 5, then 0. Next. If num2 equals 6, print out the message. Anything else happens. Like if num2 is equal to 0, num2 is equal to 1, num2 equals 1,000, then num2 equals 100. So save it. And you'll see that it automatically went to 100 for num2. That's because you have an else. And else means something has to be true or it's going to be this. That's the else. So if we change this to 5, num1 is 0, change this to 6, your message is going to pop up right here. The number is 0. If you put 99, it's going to go back to 100. Your else is whatever that's left over. This has to be true. Okay. Hope that it's not confusing to you. Try it out and mess with it, and I think you'll understand it better. Thank you. Please subscribe.